And the lads are back. It's been a very interesting, very good fantasy year. Bish, a sad, commiserating loss in the finals, but a lot to talk about. We're covering everything to do with fantasy football. We're looking over our predictions that Bish and Tag made before the season started, giving out one or two awards like we did last year, and then looking forwards towards the playoffs, a few bets, and doing a fantasy predictor together, and seeing who the punt thinks is going to make it to the Super Bowl, and most importantly, win it. So yeah, a lot to cover. But first off, lads, how are you both, and how's your week's been going? Bish?
I'm good. Yes, it's been a good week. Last final round of the NFL regular season. Some nail biters there in the late window, but all ready for the playoffs. Luckily, my team is in the playoffs, so looking forward to. It's a Monday night though, so nothing will be getting done Tuesday morning. But yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah, all three of our teams are in the playoffs, I believe. Denver have got a good time of the. I think it's the first game on Sunday, so it's going to be tough. Look, I'm happy that we're just back in the playoffs. We've got that hood off our back. Everyone will writ off Bo Nix and Sean Payton, all the doubters, all the haters, all that dead cap off Russell Wilson. We made the playoffs. It's going to be a very tough task going to the Bills. But if we're going to lose to anybody, I'd rather it to be Von Miller's team, my all-time main man, Von Miller. Hopefully, if they beat us, he can go on and go on and win a Super Bowl again.
We've got you back. Yeah, it's been like you said, a good year. Packers are in. I'd say the Packers have stumbled a bit though. We can get into it in the prediction a bit later. They're stumbling into the playoffs. So are a couple of teams though. Like I said, we've got a couple of teams that just aren't doing quite well. So I'm a bit nervous as a Packer fan. I think we've got the youngest team, the second youngest team to ever make it into the playoffs, with the first youngest team being the Packers from last year. So a fun little stat to get us going. It's all youth down up at Green Bay. But yeah, no, we'll get into it first off. And I thought we'll cover the punts fantasy year, lads. What's your thoughts? What are your comments? And give us a few things that you've learned throughout this year. Bish, take us away.
I've enjoyed it. I think for a lot of players, it was their first go at it last year. Again, we had some newbies this year. I think Lachlan Walmsley did really well in his first year. But it's been fun. It's a good group. I'd say 11 out of 12 were, active every week, which was really good. Sam the fan didn't produce the goods, so likely be replaced. But so yeah, but no, for me, it's been a good year. Obviously, losing in the final hurts, but the banter's been good. There's been some good trades, some bad trades, some bad waiver wire pickups. I'm sure we'll get into it, but on the whole, yeah, looking forward to it. We'll tweak a few things next year. I think one thing I didn't change was the playoff bracket. It's bracketed in rather than based on seeding. So that's probably one thing I'd change. And then I think there was a few eyebrows raised with some of the trading going on pre-draft. So that won't be an option going forward. So always learning, always looking to improve. But overall, I think we've had a good year.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'd say my big one is I think we might have to look at vetoing some trades, as you covered, Bish. There were some shocking ones, some that I really thought helped a lot of teams. I made one or two bad ones that I'd look back and I hope someone would have vetoed at the time. So I'll say that. But there were some bad trades and maybe something that we can look at. I know in another league you can all vote whether it's a yes or no. Obviously, it can get a bit nasty if you're thinking, oh, that improves there, and people say it's no when it is a legitimate trade. But maybe something there where there's a commissioner vote, Bish, and you get to decide whether it's legit or not. Because I think there were a couple there that definitely later on in the season there were a couple of trades that helped out each other.
I think on the trading thing, if there's any doubt, there's some very good trade calculators out there for redrafts. Yeah. I think you can soon input it on there, and if it's say, for instance, it should be at least a 40-60%. I think once you get into that 20-30% bracket for one side of the trade, it needs to be canned. Obviously, because we want to make it competitive and keep it fair. But yeah, now I think we'd change one or two things. We'll leave Bish to do that. A poor year for me, fantasy-wise. Obviously, CMC didn't help. Plenty of reasons why, but I'm just thinking the cream always rises to the top. And come next year, I'm going to make sure that the punt's at the top of my priority list to get a ring for one of us in this hosting side to get a ring between us.
Yeah, like you said though, Bish, I'm happy with the standard. Other than I've got to give a shout out to he's called Team Lamar MVP. So you're gonna give away what he did. He obviously drafted Lamar Jackson in the first round. I had my American friends message me saying, Joe, I struggled to watch after that. I cut off. Obviously, it's not a legitimate league. And he's ended up coming, did he end up coming in 4th place, I believe? Or was it third?
Yeah. I'm not sure. He lost in the semis, didn't he? Yeah, I'm not sure if he won the 3rd, 4th place, but...
He come 4th, lost the 3rd, 4th place, come in the top 4 though, 2nd ranked. His team ended up doing really well, and I think my big fantasy takeaway from the punt this year is don't put so much as my lessons, and I'm going to tell my American friends the same for next year. Don't put so much into them first 1 or 2 rounds, because I don't think, unless you've drafted Jamar Chase this year, I think the first 2 rounds aren't as important as we all die and stress over, and we all do 50 analyzations, 50 comments on each other's. I'm more bothered about round 3 to round 6. That's where the money's been made this year, and I think that's where my concentration didn't lie at all this year. I wanted to get my first 2 picks right, kind of let the rest of the draft come to me, and I ended up getting a few big whiffs.
That's a little bit why I'm not keen on vetoing trades, is because people have different values. You know, he valued Lamar very high, and we touched on in the Fantasy 101 we did. If you know, it's got to be fun. If you've got someone who you want on your team, you want to support all year, go pick them up. So he certainly did that. Again, it goes against the narrative of, like you said, these values and where the experts rank people and things like that. So you know, it's your team. Go manage it how you want to.
I like it, yeah, fair point. Tag, what's your big takeaways from this year?
Probably stick to my normal process a bit more. I think I probably rolled the dice, me personally. Obviously, it was 4th pick in the draft, and with the Lamar trade and maybe a bit of an experience in any other fantasy league going, CMC wouldn't have dropped to 4, really. I wasn't expecting that. I was caught a bit off guard. He dropped to 4. I took him, there was a bit of an injury there, but thought I'll ride it till he's back. So when he comes back, he's going to be massive, and he just won that guy. And straight away after that, I was on the back foot, trying to trade, trying to do everything I could. Obviously, a couple of unlucky matchups, but that's fantasy. So yeah, I'll probably make sure this time my first couple of round picks are a bit more solid, like I normally like to go with. On a whole, like I said, I fought to the end. Tried hard to stay competitive, and again, if you're not first, you're last. So we're all back in the mixer and going for that title next year now. I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I wish I could be drafting tomorrow. I'm excited for it.
Right, we'll get into it. We've not got as many awards as last year. We've got 3 to give out because we're going over playoff predictions and other things as well. But the first award that we're going to give out is the typical one. It's your fantasy MVP. The way we did it last year is we all give our man, all give good reasoning into our fantasy MVP is, and then we can review, and whoever gets the most votes wins the award. So first off, Tag, who is your fantasy MVP for this year?
Yeah, obviously, if we're going overall point scoring and stuff like that, you're looking at Lamar Jackson, and in key positions, obviously Jamar Chase went quite comfortably wide receiver. I went a bit down the line of fantasy MVP for the value in which someone would have took him, and if there's any doubt there and what he ended up coming out with, what the outcome was at the end. And for me, my fantasy MVP this year is I'm going to salute, as I did a lot this year, I'm going to salute the king, Derrick Henry. The reason I'm going with King Derek is he finished second overall in running backs, just behind Saquon Barkley. I think over 300 fantasy points. He slipped down to a lot of people's round 2. There was a lot of doubt over him. He's going to Ravens. They won't get the workload. He's old now. He can't come off the back. He's been doing it tough for years. And if you're stuck with a king, even if you still took him first round, you got some serious production out of him. There's a lot of battling and throwing for other players. But for me, if I took Derrick Henry this year, I think you've made one of the best picks in fantasy and sticking with your beliefs and taking him. And I was one of the ones who doubted him as well. So, King Derek for me is going to get my fantasy MVP this year.
I like it. Bish, who's your fantasy MVP?
My fantasy MVP, and you've already mentioned him, Joe, it's Jamar Chase for me. If he ranks 6 overall, which is massive, obviously the quarterbacks usually like the first 10. He was 6 overall. He finished 73 points more than the next wide receiver, which was Justin Jefferson, which is very crazy for one split. And then the wide receiver position this year, if you drafted a wide receiver early, it probably hurt you because the big ones spent a lot of time injured. The running backs was the way to go this year, other than CMC. So for me, he stands out massively. The Triple Crown, most receptions, most yards, most touchdowns, 17 touchdowns. So for me, it's Jamar Chase.
I like it, and I think that sadly, I love your tag, but it gives us a winner because on my piece of paper here, I've got Jamar Chase, as you said, Bish, another 70 in one of my leagues. He's 75 points above the next wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. He's absolutely dominated. Like you said, got the Triple Crown. I think if you drafted him, he's rarely let you down throughout the year. He's been consistently good through pretty much all of the year. He's not been like I had Brees Hall, for example, who had like a 38-point game. Then he'd have an 8. He'd been consistent throughout. Always got your points. Obviously, next in line is Justin Jefferson, who did have more up and down games. Had a little lull there mid-season. Always reliable, and you covered all the stats, Bish. I think that gives it the punt MVP, an easy choice. I like that tag went different. It gives us a different answer, but the easy choice there, Jamar Chase, the punt's fantasy MVP. Your prize will be in the mail next week, Jamar. The next one, lads, I've coined. It's not my greatest name again, but it's the waiver wire / late draft MVP. So we're either going someone who you picked up in the waiver wire or a very late draft pick who's ended up coming up trumps and done really well and got people into them late rounds and semi-finals. Tag, you can go first.
I'm going first again. You can't keep coming at
me. No, I'll go first. I'll take it. Yes.
You go to Bish now if you want.
You have to go to Joe. I ain't got one.
I'll get mine out of the way. I was going to go when I was looking through this. I was going to go the man who I've stuck with all year. My man Bucky Irving finished 14th in running backs for really good late draft pick. In my other league, he was the very last pick of the draft, and he's ended up in the top 15 picks. But I saw a man 2 names above him, and someone who I completely wrote off mid-season. I think most people did, but he's ended up probably dragging people to at least the semis / the finals. He's drafted 115th. It's Chase Brown. I think he just beats Bucky Irving for his late season heroics in his against Dallas in week 14, 21 points. Week 15, Tennessee, 24.8. Then he's hit a 12 and an 11-pointer. For the weeks before that, he's not scored under 10 points since week 7. So he's from week 7. He's just gone on a big tear. Very, very underrated. Actually, was a late draft pick and also fell onto a lot of waiver wires when people wrote him off after week 5 and 6. After then, waiver wires are really busy. So I think for his late season heroics, Chase Brown wins my waiver wire late draft MVP. Who's next, lads?
I'll go then. And for me, again, it's so sorry. Let me just who drafted him. It was Browntown Raiders. I think that's James Green drafted him. Pick 15, round 15, pick 10. So pretty much very, very late. Quarterback. He quarterbacks the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's Baker Mayfield for me. He's finished 5th overall at the quarterback position, and he's been drafted in the 15th round. So that's some turnaround that. I think he finished with just under 380 points on the season. He's well, we've seen they've been backward and forwards, high scoring team because the defense is a bit of a sieve. And I'm just looking through his stats now. He's had only 2 games under 10, and he's had a handful of games over 25 points. So very consistent with what he's been doing. He's had 5 touchdown weeks, 4 touchdown weeks. So yeah, for me, it's Baker Mayfield there, picked very late in the 15th round.
Happy days. Well, I'll roll in on that. I was looking at the QBs as well. Looked at Baker late round, picked, like Bish said, very late. It was very close between 2 for me. The other one who I didn't go with was Sam Darnold. Obviously, the injury to JJ McCaffrey. I don't think anybody would have picked Sam Darnold if you had a 12-man league like because I don't think he would have been starting QB. I don't know if he was took late in our league. I've not checked. I'm guessing it was a waiver wire pickup, but he finished 8th overall, top 10. But for me, and Joe took him, and I'm going to stick with my guy, waiver wire pickup from Joe, Bo Nix. After that, everyone wrote him off. They all wrote him off. So he wasn't good enough for NFL. Sean Payton's reached. That first game against Seattle is getting called Bo Picks because he throws a few bad passes. All he does, he gets better and better and better. He finishes 9th overall. A lot of people who took him off the waiver wire when he started getting some form behind him down the line, who had him in their team late on into the season, I bet you any money he's won a lot of fantasy semi-finals and finals out there for players. He's finished top 10. I know that he was the difference between me and Joe when we played. The fact that he went Bo Nix, he beat me on his own. And I just got to give a bit of a shout out to a Denver boy family in these awards. I think for a waiver wire late pick, I'm going Bo Nix.
I like it. We'll let the viewers decide that. We'll make it into a shorts. We'll get it on. Obviously, if you're watching the full show or watching the shorts, give your comments, if you've got another suggestion, chuck them in. I think there were quite a few this year. I think that were one of my big takeaways from this year. The drafts and the leagues and the drafts and everything were won later on. And let's see who you've got. You've got between Bo Nix, you've got Baker, and you've got Chase Brown. Any of the other suggestions, whoever has the most likes on the comment gets the win. And I guess we'll have a late announcement on whoever wins the late draft waiver wire MVP. And the final one, lads, bit of a negative one, but it's always fun to comment. The MVP fantasy dud. I think I might know who Tag's going with, but I'll let Bish go first.
Injuries not included.
Since Tag may be a bit predictable.
You on Bish?
Sorry.
I can go. Look, if you're picking someone in the top 5, top 3, round 1, and he plays a couple of games and doesn't score many points all year, it's CMC. I think with fantasy dud, it's the biggest letdown, the biggest gutting feeling. I think anybody who took CMC, I'm with you. I'm hurting in the corner. Another one I'd chuck in there who was built up quite a bit before the season is Breece Hall. I think if you took Breece Hall in the first round, you're very frustrated with his outcome as well. And he's a bit of a dud there for me, big time. But I know you can't really take injuries into account sometimes, but I think a lot of people took CMC. Their season was done there and then, so he's my big dud for the year.
Like it, Bish. I'm going to pass it on to you.
For me, again, a player who was drafted very early in our league. He was drafted pick 101. I'm shying away from CMC because he was carrying injury, so I'll give him that. But for me, it's Tyreek Hill. He would have been it would have been between him and CD Lamb as which wide receiver would have come off the board first in, I'd say, 99% of leagues. And it's been a nightmare if you drafted him early. I'm just looking through his game scores. He has one game over 20 points later on in the season. He started with 20 points as well. As soon as Tua went down, it was sort of game over for him. You know, the quarterbacks they went through, the patch they had with Huntley, it just didn't work. And the way the Dolphins played after that when Tua came back, it's just out of his hands too quickly for Hill to be an option in the passing game. Really, you know, we're used to seeing those really deep balls, him scoring long touchdowns. That's just not a non-starter this year. So for me, it's Tyreek Hill just on the basis he would have been one of the first, one or two wide receiver off the board and failed miserably for your team.
I like it. My pick, I think I'm going to change my pick once I've gone over who I'm putting up and give one of your two as a winner, because I think yours are the best two and the most obvious two. But I'm going to go someone who let me down in another team, and it's Anthony Richardson. I think I drafted him in one league. You'll laugh at this one. In one league, I drafted him 52nd. Thought I've got a top QB here. I've got the next Josh Allen. I've got the next Lamar. I'm really excited. He's going to be rushing all over the place with all this athleticism. And obviously, I think he hit the waiver wire by week 5, week 6. So yeah, big shocker there. I think some of that first game set me up for hope. I think in that week 1, I think I famously quoted saying this is his bottom line, Bish, if you remember me saying, I think he won my fantasy MVP of the week. I went, well, he threw an interception, did some really bad throws, but he's still done 2 massive touchdowns. This is bottom line. And I couldn't have been more wrong. That was the second highest he scored all season. And from that point on, it got worse and worse. Famously took a play off because he was tired when his wide receiver Michael Pittman has just announced that that he played with a fractured back for the rest of the year. So as Pittman's playing with a fractured back, Richardson's taking a minute off because he needs a breather. I think a shocker all round. Colts will be probably looking for another QB come the next season. I doubt they'll go in with him again as their number 1 out-and-out QB. So I'm going Anthony Richardson for my excitement, for the week 1 happiness that we all had. Anthony Richardson gets my pick for fantasy dud. But I think I'll change mine and give Bish the win here. Tag. I think Tyreek Hill is the dud of the year, like you said.
I'm happy to go with you, mate. I traded for him, rolled the dice.
Oh, you rolled the dice, yeah, you did, yeah.
Tyreek Hill, I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that package. He's got plenty.
We can't send the package yet because he ain't going to be in Miami still, probably, is he? We need to see where he moves to.
I think he's staying, me. He's he's all talk.
He put the thing of Antonio Brown, and then it's come out that he's had a meeting and now he's staying. So it's going to be an interesting one. But after the season he's had, I think he needed a bit of headlines because he's not caused any this year. Tyreek Hill, fancy MVP dud for 2024. And then the next one, lads, I'm doing a lot of talking, but this is the ones where you two go head to head. It's the Bish v Tag fantasy predictions. I've got them loaded up here. Bish and Tag, if you watched our early season shows, they had a running back, QB, and wide receiver prediction poll. They made the top 12s in both, I believe. We've got the graphics up here, and we're going to compare them to how it ended up in the actual season. So first off, lads, I'll let you take it away. The running backs, this was their predictions. Bish is on the left, Tag's on the right.
Yeah, and just to let people know how they finished, Saquon Barkley was 1, Derrick Henry was 2, Jamar Gibbs 3, Bijan Robinson 4, Josh Jacobs 5, Kyron Williams 6, Devon Achane 7, James Cook 8, Alvin Kamara 9, Hold on, I think I've got that wrong.
Yeah, it's Kamara 9, Connor 10. Cheers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I think glaring, obviously, from me, the biggest one for me, I caused a bit of a stir, number 12, throwing Gus Edwards in there. And I think I got the wrong running back. I think we saw early season, J.K. Dobbins was very good, but injury, obviously, he probably wouldn't have touched the top 12. And then for me, the biggest disappointment was Travis Etienne. Jags were pretty poor. And a non-starter, really. I think he was carrying a shoulder injury, but obviously he got spelled, and Tank Bigsby come in for a lot of the season. I think without the glaringly obvious Christian McCaffrey, I had Barkley at 3, which was up there. Bijan, if I take Bijan out of my top 5 and swap him round, it's more or less there. So yeah, fewer guys at the bottom I got wrong, but yeah, not a bad selection.
Got to call you out on Breece Hall as well there, Bish. You've got Breece Hall in 3rd, I believe.
Oh yeah, I missed that one, Breece Hall. Yeah, well, that was based on the Jets hype, and that was soon found to be a non-starter. So yeah, that offense wasn't very good. I still believe in Breece Hall. Hopefully, the new quarterback can change that offense.
Yeah, on me, I'm pretty happy looking at this. I can't complain. 4 at the top 5. I've got the same, obviously, with Henry, Gibbs, Bijan, and Barkley. CMC non-starter. Joe Mixon, I think he must have only just missed out on the top 11, top 11 maybe. I thought Joe Mixon had a pretty good year still. He'd be happy if he took him.
A couple of those injuries, wasn't he? He missed a couple.
Yeah, a couple of injuries. So when he did play, you knew he was fit. He still scored. Obviously, Josh Jacobs. I kept the faith on Jacobs would do something, and he's in there still. Finished 5 overall. So looking at this, me personally, I'm very happy. I think I've done all right there, if I don't say so myself.
Bish, I hate to say it and I hate to do it to you, but I think Tag wins the running back predictions for 2024 from that top 5 or 6 there. He's nailed one. Everyone except McCaffrey. He's done pretty well.
That's fine by me. Well done, Tag.
Well done, Tag.
I think
Bijan disappointed me a little bit, but I think back end of the year he hit the ground running. He's been solid.
The one omission from both, I'd say, is James Cook, in it, lads. I'd say that's the one who's made that top 12 that neither you, I didn't think I had him either. So fair play to James Cook, outstanding year alongside Josh Allen. I think they needed it, and I think that's the part of the Bills offense that everyone kind of forgot about, and probably half the reason why they've done so well, on the fact that they've had a running back do exceptionally well with a running QB and this all-powered offense. Next one, lads, I'm going to pick the wide receiver one. So, Bish, take us through your picks again.
So the wide receivers, how they finished. One was Jamar Chase. So, yeah, I was very low on him. If I realised that defence was that bad, I definitely would have pushed him a bit higher. 2 was Justin Jefferson. 3 was Amon-Ra, who I had 3, which is good. 4, maybe a surprise. The rookie Brian Thomas had an amazing season. He finished 4th. CeeDee Lamb was 5th. Terry McLaurin 6th. Malik Neighbours 7. Jackson Smith-Njigba 8. My guy who I shouted about, Drake London, was in at 9. 10 was Garrett Wilson. 11, Mike Evans. And then 12 was Jerry Jeudy. So, yeah. Wide receivers, ravaged with injuries. We saw a lot of injuries in there. I'm glad to see Mike Evans snuck in there and got his 11K, ranked 11th and got 11K consecutive 1K seasons, which is nice. I think biggest disappointment for me were Marvin Harrison Jr. Didn't really have a connection with Kyler at all. And AJ Brown, the Eagles they've got the best back in the league. They've run the ball, and the passing game, they've not really needed it. And apart from that, yeah, Tyreek, obviously we spoke about him on the fantasy being the biggest bust. So, yeah, Drake London, it's a shame it's not after 18 weeks because last week he had 182 yards as well, so he would have been bumped up. But yeah, not too bad. Jamar Chase and Jefferson, I was too low on. Amon Ra, I'm happy I got him right. Yeah, and the back end is pretty much a miss, apart from Drake London.
Yeah, I can fly through mine a bit. I think obviously I'm pretty injury ravaged there. If you look through my list, I wanted a big ear from Stefan Diggs. He got a really bad injury early on, so he was wrote off. Cooper Kupp in and out for injury. Chris Olave, Derek Carr ruined him. Keenan Allen couldn't stay fit. AJ Brown was probably the one decent prediction I had. I thought he'd fall off a bit this year, AJ Brown. He certainly did that. Not making the top 12. And Keenan Allen, like I said, injured. Devontae Adams trade. He got rolling at the end of the year, but didn't do enough throughout the year, obviously, to get near that top 12. Obviously, Chase, St. Brown, Jefferson. Pretty happy I stuck with Garrett Wilson to make the top 10, and he did. But I think it's clear to see a lot of injuries, and the wide receiver was tough this year. And I'm more than happily say that Bish definitely got the win on this one.
Yeah, 3 out of 12 spot on predictions there, Bish. You've done quite well at exact numbers. Not even, yeah. So I think you've won that one clearly. It's 1-1, and we've got the QB predictions left to do. I'll load them up now. Bish, take us through again.
The money men. So number 1 was Lamar Jackson. Number 2 was Josh Allen. Number 3 was Joe Burrow. Number 4, Jaden Daniels. Number 5 was Baker Mayfield. Number 6, Jared Goff. Number 7, Jalen Hurts. Number 8, Sam Darnold. Number 9, Bo Nix. Number 10, Patrick Mahomes. And then 11 is Kyler Murray. And 12 is Brock Purdy. So, yeah, I've got the top 2 the wrong way around. But I think the biggest debate we had was, can Lamar pass the ball? I think this season has shown he can definitely pass the ball, over 4,000 passing yards. I was way too high on Patrick Mahomes. Very conservative offense. Dak and Jordan Love, injuries. I think Jordan Love has regressed a little bit. I think Josh Jacobs has come in and demanded a lot. CJ Stroud as well, bit of a down year. Tua, non-starter. Jalen Hurts, I got at 7. Joe Burrow too low on, and then the back end, Murray and Purdy are there or thereabouts, and Goff I was too low on. So yeah, happy I got the top 2, just the wrong way around. So yeah, hit and miss.
Yeah, with me, obviously nailed Lamar as number 1, but the one obviously I doubted a bit and thought it wouldn't be top 3 this year is Josh Allen, but he has rode that team right to the top and done very well. Jalen Hurts up there with 40 wood. Patrick Mahomes is top 10. Obviously, me and Bish both too high in it. As we roll down, CJ Stroud, a big letdown for me, is one of my predictions of MVP at the start of the year. He just didn't produce this year as much CJ Stroud. He might in the playoffs, but the Diggs injury probably didn't help. Dak Prescott injured, Tua injured, Richardson having rests on sideline or injured or in and out. Obviously, he won some people, some leagues at the end, but Jordan Love, both me and Bish got wrong on that. And obviously Burrow's too low, Murray's in the roundabout. And I had a little punt on Caleb Williams, and he just obviously didn't have that offensive line to protect him. I think when you look overall on who's got the most in, it'll be Bish. I think Bish definitely takes it.
I think you nailed Lamar though. I think nailing Lamar's a big one. You got to get that number 1.
Yeah. I think the good thing is, Bish, is that we don't look too stupid. I think we're there or thereabouts in all the list, and we've nailed some. We've got a few wrong, and I think the ones we've got wrong, a lot of them are down to injuries, and you don't mind that. If you're really calling it wrong and they've played the full season, then we need to question the jobs we're in.
So Bish just maybe takes the 2-1. We'll have to remember that for next year when we do the prediction show. I can't remember why I didn't get mine in, lads, but I'll get mine in for next year, and we can have a proper competition.
I think you forgot, Joe, and then you just sat in the middle and went, I'll tell you what, I'll just referee it, lads.
Probably, that sounds about right. Yeah, so I'll not be lazy pre-season, lads. Sorry, I apologise about that. But yeah, well done, Bish, well done, Ty. I think yeah, like you said, both pretty good there. Can't help the injuries. Finish off, lads. It's been a good show. But we've got the NFL playoff predictor. We're doing the punts playoffs. We're going to decide who wins each matchup, and hopefully ride our predictions to the actual one. So is that loaded up now?
Are we all doing a vote, and then we'll just do one punt one? We'll put it up as our joint punt agreement.
Yeah, perfect. We'll go through each game and then just follow it through as it loads up. So Tag, one close to your heart here. Game 1, we've got Broncos versus the Bills. Tag, I'll let you go first. Where's your heart and your head going?
Look, we know where my heart is, boys. I'm just happy to be there. I'm happy to be in the postseason, but this is the punt. This is picking with our brains and doing the people listen justice. And if you don't go Buffalo Bills at home in this one, you two might disagree, but I think it's a Bills win.
Bish?
For me, yeah, the vulnerability with the Bills is their run defense. Denver, I'm not too sure their run game is that good, to be honest. So I think they'll keep it tight. It is a playoff game. They're playing with house money. They've got absolutely nothing to lose. They're not meant to be. Bo Nix is, like you said, Tag, you touched on it. There's a lot of dead cap. They're way ahead of schedule. And Sean Payton, he's been here before. He'll produce some trick plays or something. But yeah, Bills at home for me.
Same for me, lads. Nice and easy. Buffalo Bills win game 1. Next one, we'll go over to the NFC, and we've got Green Bay versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We've got my team. To be honest with you, lads, I'll just cover my thoughts quick. Green Bay, like I said, stumbled a bit in the last game. Struggled obviously against Minnesota. Struggled against the Lions, who are the number 1 seed in the NFC. I think the defenses match up. The Green Bay defense hasn't been as bad. The rush defense hasn't been as bad as it normally is. It's normally shocking. It's become middle of the pack. But I think comes to it, Saquon Barkley is gonna run over that Green Bay defense. Can Jordan and Josh Jacobs keep up? I think they can. I think Christian Watson's a big loss because the Eagles secondary was shocking. It got better and better as the season went on. But I think a bit too many injuries, a bit wrong time for Green Bay. I think one more year, as I predicted early on, I think we've got one more year left. Next year's the big one. I think it's going to be a close game, lads, because it's a good matchup for Green Bay. But you've probably got to go Eagles, haven't you, and play. It hurts me to say Eagles, but I'll let you have your thoughts.
Yeah, you've nailed that, Joe, and I'll just chuck in there. I'm going Eagles, and they've had the blessing of being able to rest a lot of their team last week. They'll come back fresh out the box. Green Bay was battling right into the end of their game. They even started warming up Jordan Love's bad bloody elbow towards the end of their game in case they could win the game, because they'd probably seen that Washington had fell behind. So the blessing of the resting players. I just think Philly offensively will have too much. I just don't think they'll be able to keep up.
Yeah, I echo that. I think the Packers, they're picking up injuries at the wrong time. You've touched on Watson, Jai Alexander as well. Big cornerback. He's on injured reserve. We've seen Jordan Love. He's got a bad elbow. Hopefully he'll be good to go. But for me, I think the Eagles at home, it's a very tough place to go, tough environment, and I just think they overpower a lot of teams on the offensive line and defensive line. So yeah, the Eagles for me.
Yeah, it's a click, but there we go. Back over to the AFC, Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. Any thoughts, lads?
I think it's all pretty straightforward on this one, is it?
I believe so.
Yeah. I think I'm going Ravens, but I do think the Steelers it is 1-1 in the season. They've got one win each. They see each other a lot. I think for me, if Pickens, he seems to be away with the fairies a lot of the time. If he doesn't show up, I don't see how the Steelers move the ball. So for me, it's the Ravens.
Yeah, I think King Henry's been waiting for this his whole life. I need a good pro-season run with the chance. He's got the offensive line finally to back him up. I think Russell Wilson's getting figured out game on game. They come with something different, Pittsburgh, but a bit like Green Bay, a couple of injuries, bad timing. Russell Wilson going back to his normal self, being a bit daft on offense, doing some silly things. Baltimore wins this one comfortably. Next one, lads, back over to the NFC. Really interesting one, actually. Washington versus Buccaneers. Who are you going with?
This is,
Yeah.
I'll go on,
go Bish.
For me, I think this is the one could go either way, this one. Very interesting matchup. It's got the highest point spread of the week, so they're expecting points. The Commanders can't stop the run. The Buccaneers can't stop the pass. I'm going to lean slightly with the home team, and I'm going to take the Buccaneers. I think Baker gets it done.
Yeah, I'm a coin flip game for me. I think it's with this one and the Chargers Texans the closest game to call of the week for me. And I'm flipping the coin, and it's land on the home team because that's the slight advantage in these games with them cannons firing at home. And Mike Evans saying he ain't finished yet, so I'm going the Bucs.
Yeah, same. I'm going to chuck out my name I've chucked out all year. I think Bucky Irvin's finished the season unbelievably. As you said, Washington can't defend the run very well. I'm going Buccaneers and Bucky Irvin to win game MVP. Back over to the FC, lads. Take it away. Chargers v Texans.
Yeah, I can start on this one. Look, it's a close one. I say it's the other closest one. I'm going to go for the first time the away team's going to win in the playoffs. I'm going for the LA Chargers. Harbaugh knows how to get it done. He's been there and done it. He's been to a Super Bowl before. He's won a national championship in college. He's getting the best out of Herbert. Herbert's looking good. The run game's on. The Texans are just a bit up and down for me. I've just not seen enough of it this year to really back them. And I just think the Chargers have been in a real tough AFC West. They've had some real tough games all year. They always match up and have a dig. Justin Herbert's looking better and better. He's got the highest yards through first 5 years in NFL career ever. I'm going the Chargers to go to Houston and win.
Bish.
I'm following your tag, but I think it'll be a bigger margin. I think this is the Chargers quite comfortably. I've been very disappointed with the Texans the back end of the year. I think the offense looks to be stuttering away. Apart from Mixon, they've lost Stephon Diggs. It's obviously a big part, but I think they're a bit pass happy. And I think in the playoffs against this Chargers team, that won't work. So, yeah, the Chargers for me.
Yeah. Diggs, Dell, all gone for the season. Too much of a loss, and that offensive line, and yeah, I think they're going to get bullied by the Chargers. I'm with you, Bish. I think big margin Chargers. J.K. Dobbins, Herbert, Quinton Johnson's figured out how to catch a football, and I think with QJ finally figuring that out, Chargers win comfortably. Final one on the wild card round, lads. We've got Minnesota versus the Rams. Bish, start us off.
This is a tough one. The Vikings are 1.5 points favourites here. The Rams won earlier on in the year, week 6, I believe, 30-20, and rested everyone last week as well. So I'm trying not to be biased. I've done these predictions before, so just to let you know where. But I am picking the Rams at home, but these two teams know each other very well. Kevin O'Connell is from the Rams. They both play zone defense. They've both got quarterbacks that can dice you up. My only worry with the Rams is we need someone else other than Puka Nacua to step up. Cup's been pretty quiet. I've sort of got an inkling Tyler Higbee will start to come into his own and be a pass catching threat back from his injury he suffered last year in the playoffs. So if the Sam Darnold turns up that was there last week, missing Jefferson in the end zone, holding onto the ball a bit too long. The Rams, they're young, they're hungry on defense, they get after the quarterback, and the secondary is improving all the time. So for me, I'm just going to lean the Rams at home.
I'll dive in, Tag, and I'll let you be the decider because I know I'm going with the Vikings. I'm sorry, Vish. I know it's upsetting to pick against your team, but I think that the Vikings' offense is it's too good. I think Jefferson, Addison's become a top as that's one prediction I did get right. I thought Addison's a top wide receiver. I said it early on in the year, and he's now proven himself to be a wide receiver one on a lot of other teams. You've got the young Jalen Naylor playing very, very well as a third choice option. You've got Hawkinson. Only thing that worries me, Aaron Jones is obviously a bit old, but I think they've just got enough on offense to win this. The defense has been stuttering, but Nakua alone can't do this, Bish. I'm sorry to say. I think I've got the Vikings. Tag.
Yeah, and he's not going to like me, but
it's all right. I've done my own predictions, so that I'm all right.
Yeah, we could be wrong on this. It's the first time we've had a bit of a disagreement, but I'm going the Vikings. I just think they're going to learn from the failures of last year and the year before, getting beat early in the playoffs, and I think O'Connell's going to get them playing. I just think it's going to be too much defensively for the Rams to try and cover. I don't think the Rams secondary is going to be able to keep JJ from making his mark on this game, so I'm going the Vikings.
We're in the divisional playoffs now, lads. First game, the Chiefs are back in after getting the bye. Chiefs v Chargers. Bish, who you've got?
I've got the Chiefs at home, but I think this could be trickier than many think. The way the Chargers are set up to run the ball and the way they defend. So, but I just think at home the Chiefs will have they'll find a way to get it done.
I'll be controversial. I'll say the Chargers, like I said, love Dobbins, love what they're doing. I think they're now getting healthier at the right time, and them wide receivers playing as well as they have at the back end of the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think it's massive, and that defense is number one and number 2 defenses going against each other, and I think the Chargers just win that battle. So I'm going to go the Chargers for the upset.
Well, yeah, it's an easy one for me. 23-day rest for Patrick Mahomes going into this game. The Chiefs three-peat is on for me. I'm taking the Chiefs all day long.
Nice.
I'll just put in, Joe. Sorry, I'll just ask one question. They rested everyone in week 17 and they've got week 18 and they've got a bye. Do you think that's too much rest?
I think historically for me it is. That's what I'm against. I don't like all that rest. I think it goes against them. It's a very much the way you feel sport. How's the chemistry going? How's them connections? How's the team bonding? I think that's too much for me.
I just think they've had a couple of long seasons back to back. They've got a few aging players there. I'm for it personally. They know what they're doing in playoff football. They're the best team in the world last few years and shown that. I think the break, the rest, they'll roll into this game. They'll come out firing. And I think it'll be good for them. Personally, I'm going the other way.
Nice. Chiefs make it through. In the same one, it's the game of the year once again, in my view. Detroit versus Minnesota. I'll give my pick now. Obviously, we've seen what happened last week. I'll go Detroit again. I think they're going to be my Super Bowl team. I'll say it now. I'm kind of ruining the surprise, but I think they're going to make it. Chiefs all day. Detroit all day for me.
Yeah, I'll keep it rolling. We'll keep speeding it up, and I'm going Lions as well. I think they've had the better of them in recent times, and I just think the Lions will have too much firepower.
Bish, anything different?
No, I agree, but I do think it'll be a closer game than last week.
Next 2 lads. Sorry, I said game of the century. This could be the game of the century. Baltimore versus Buffalo. What a game to get in the divisional playoffs if it does come off. I think I've gone against Lamar all my life. I've not been convinced up until this season. I've got to be wrong. He always stutters in the playoffs, and I think it's the one year he doesn't. I've got Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens pulling off the big win versus the Bills. Bish?
Yeah, I'm following that. The Ravens, as I said earlier, the Bills. What's the weakness? It's defending the run. King Henry goes wild here and causes some problems. I was just checking then. Zay Flowers, obviously, he came off injured with a knee injury. I'm not sure how serious that is, but if he's missing, that'll be a big blow. But hopefully, he'll be there for that game. But yeah, I'm going Ravens.
It'll be 3-0, and not many people will do this, but I was waiting to see if I was the deciding call. I'm not. I think this is the year Lamar gets that one big playoff win to prove he is capable of doing it in the big games, and I'm going the Ravens as well.
Probably the worst game, in my opinion, of the divisional playoffs, because, in my opinion, I've got the Eagles winning this one comfortably. The Bucs done amazing, but I think that's the end of their road, lads.
Click it in, Joe. Click it in.
This is a bit of revenge for the Eagles as well. Got beat in the playoffs wild card round last year by the Bucs. So yeah, definitely Eagles.
And the 2 conference championship games, lads. It's the 2 great games: Baltimore versus Chiefs. I've got the Baltimore Ravens winning this one.
Well, you know where I'm going. I'm 3-peat Chiefs, so that's my prediction.
Bish.
I've got the decider, and as I did earlier in my pick, this is a rerun of last year. For some reason, the Ravens decided not to run the ball last year. If they run the ball this year, I think they get the job done. I think they upset 2 big road wins back to back here. I think they go into Kansas and get the result.
Oh,
the Ravens made it up. Tag's not happy. And we've got the Lions versus the Eagles, lads. I'll rattle mine off. Lions, you know what I think, to make it easy. Tag, what you thinking?
Yeah, Lions for me. It's their year. They met the Super Bowl. I think they'll come against the Eagles. It'll be a great game. But I think the Lions get over the line.
My vote, I don't count, but I was going to go the Eagles. I think the Eagles on paper have the best team in the league. Their offensive line's strong. The defensive line is strong. Those injuries for the Lions really worry me defensively. So I would have gone the Eagles.
Right, lads, in the Baltimore versus Lions final. Bish, I'll let you go first.
This is interesting because I had the Eagles in winning it. I am going to go. It's a big stretch for the Ravens to go away, beat Buffalo, beat Kansas, and then beat the Lions. The Lions' injuries worry me a lot, so I'm going to stick my neck on the line, and I think we're going to see those images of Lamar sitting in that draft room by himself, those people asking him to change position, and he promised a Super Bowl out of him. I think he gets that Super Bowl now.
Wow.
I'll go now, then, Joe, and let you have the same, mate, if he's going to Ravens. I've not predicted this personally. I had a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl, and I went the Chiefs to win it all again and beyond the 3-peat. But if this matchup happens, this is our punt prediction. I'm back in the fairy tale story of the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff going and doing it to prove that when that trade happened with him and Stafford, both teams won that day. And I'm going to go the Lions.
Ooh. Tag, I'm going to leave it on that one. Both teams won that day. For me, the Detroit Lions.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I like that. That's a nice little graphic to finish it off, lads. We'll leave that there. Thanks for the show, lads. Bish, give us your final thoughts, and good luck in the playoffs, lads, to all your teams. Bish?
Yeah, I've had a really good fantasy year. Well done to all those who have won the leagues. Please watch, like, subscribe, pass on the podcast to anyone who you think it might improve their fantasy odds. But yeah, looking forward to going again next year. Stay tuned.
See you soon, lads.